California's Democratic Governor Newsom faces backlash over transgender women in sports. A deep dive into a divisive issue. California Governor Gavin Newsom, a prominent figure known for his progressive stance, recently ignited a firestorm of controversy with his declaration that the participation of transgender women in women's sports is deeply unfair. This seemingly simple statement has unleashed a complex maelstrom of political and social ramifications, exposing deep fissures within the Democratic Party and highlighting the increasingly polarizing nature of the transgender rights debate. The immediate backlash was swift and intense. Members of Newsom's own party, including Assemblymember Chris Ward and Senator Caroline Menjivar of the California Legislative LGBTQ+ caucus, issued a scathing statement expressing their profound sickness and frustration at the governor's remarks. They argued that all students deserve the benefits of sports participation, emphasizing that the issue of transgender athletes competing in accordance with their gender identity had not been a significant problem until recently, suggesting that the issue has been politically weaponized. Their statement implicitly criticized the resurgence of this debate, linking it to the influence of political figures like former President Donald Trump. Newsom's comments inadvertently aligned him with a central tenet of the anti-transgender rhetoric employed by Republicans and right-wing activists, who have consistently fueled moral panics surrounding the presence of transgender women in public spaces and the provision of health care to transgender youth. This strategic alignment raises serious questions about the governor's political calculus and his willingness to compromise on a key issue for his core constituency. The reality, however, is that the number of transgender college athletes is minuscule. Recent reports indicate that out of more than 500,000 college athletes, fewer than 10 openly identify as transgender. Similarly, proponents of restrictive legislation targeting transgender girls' participation in K-12 school sports have struggled to provide concrete examples of widespread issues. The reaction to Newsom's statement was far from monolithic. While some within the Democratic Party expressed sharp criticism, others offered a more measured response. Senator Scott Wiener, a staunch advocate for transgender rights who has spearheaded legislation strengthening California's transgender refuge law, acknowledged Newsom's generally positive track record on LGBTQ+ rights, expressing hope that this incident wouldn't signify a shift in the governor's stance. This cautious optimism reflects the complex tightrope walk many Democrats are attempting, balancing the need to address concerns while avoiding alienating crucial segments of their base. Meanwhile, California Republicans reacted with a mixture of skepticism and opportunistic glee. While some expressed doubt about Newsom's sincerity, given his history of supporting LGBTQ+ rights, a history that includes his nationally recognized defiance of state law to issue same-sex marriage licenses while mayor of San Francisco, others saw an opportunity to exploit the division within the Democratic Party. The juxtaposition of Newsom's statement with his previous progressive actions illustrates the nuanced and often contradictory nature of political positioning. The national political landscape further complicates the issue. President Biden's recent address to Congress, in which he highlighted the case of a volleyball player injured by a transgender athlete and threatened to withhold federal funding from schools that defy his executive order, underscored the increasingly partisan nature of the debate. This presidential intervention injected a new level of urgency and heightened the stakes, transforming a state-level controversy into a national flashpoint. The Senate's subsequent rejection of a Republican bill seeking to ban transgender women and girls from participating in women's sports further emphasized the deep partisan divide. Senator Brian Schatz's powerful floor speech aptly described the Republican strategy as an attempt to manufacture a culture war issue to distract from more pressing matters like rising inflation and public health crises. The timing of Newsom's comments is also significant, coinciding with the Democratic Party's ongoing soul-searching following Kamala Harris's 2024 presidential loss. Some within the party have speculated that the governor's controversial podcast, which aims to engage in dialogue with individuals holding opposing viewpoints, may be an attempt to address concerns about the party's stance on transgender rights, which some believe contributed to their electoral setbacks. This desperate search for answers has inadvertently opened a Pandora's box, exposing underlying vulnerabilities and potentially fracturing the party's unified front. As the Democratic Party grapples with its position on transgender rights, LGBTQ+ rights advocates are issuing a stark warning. Do not play into the hands of Republicans. They emphasize the importance of unity and strategic communication, urging Democrats to avoid fueling the culture war and instead focus on addressing real issues affecting the LGBTQ+ community and the broader electorate. The future of this issue within the Democratic Party remains uncertain, and the political fallout from Governor Newsom's statement will undoubtedly continue to reverberate for some time. The delicate balance between upholding fundamental rights and addressing concerns about fairness in sports requires careful navigation, and the path forward remains uncertain, laden with potential pitfalls for both sides. The stakes are high, the debate is intense, and the consequences for both the Democratic Party and the broader transgender community remain to be seen.